I want to tell you a story. A story about a boy who did not speak until he was 4 years old. A boy whose teachers said he was slow, lazy, and would never amount to anything. A boy who failed his university entrance exam. A man who could not get a single teaching job and had to work as a clerk in a patent office. And then he changed the way we understand the entire universe. His name was Albert Einstein, and his life will teach you that the world does not always recognize greatness when it sees it, but that does not mean it is not there. Chapter 1: The Quiet Boy. Albert Einstein was born on March 14, 1879, in the city of Ulm, in the Kingdom of Württemberg, Germany. His father, Hermann, was an engineer and a salesman. His mother, Pauline, was a musician who played the piano beautifully. When Albert was a baby, his parents worried about him. He did not speak. Other children his age were already talking, but Albert was silent. His family began to fear that something was wrong with him. Even when he finally started speaking, around the age of 4, he would whisper sentences to himself first, practicing them quietly, before saying them out loud. His grandparents called him slow. His parents took him to doctors. Nobody saw anything special in this quiet, strange little boy. But there was something happening inside his mind that no one could see. Albert was not slow. He was thinking deeply. He was watching. He was wondering about things most children never notice: how light moves, why magnets pull, what makes the sky blue. The lesson? The world judges speed, but depth is more powerful than speed. Just because someone is quiet does not mean they have nothing to say. Chapter 2: The Student They Gave Up On. School was painful for Albert. In Germany at that time, schools were strict. Students had to memorize facts. They had to follow orders. They had to sit still and repeat what the teacher said. Albert hated it. He did not want to memorize. He wanted to understand. He asked questions that annoyed his teachers. Why does a compass needle always point north? What would happen if you could ride on a beam of light? His teachers did not want questions. They wanted obedience. One teacher told him directly, "Einstein, you will never amount to anything." Another said he was a disruption to the class and that it would be better for everyone if he simply left. At the age of 15, Albert dropped out of school. He left Germany and moved to Switzerland, hoping to start fresh. He applied to the Polytechnic Institute in Zurich, one of the best technical universities in Europe. He failed the entrance exam. He was strong in mathematics and physics, but he failed in languages, botany, and zoology. The university rejected him. The lesson: failing a test does not mean you are a failure. It means the test did not measure what makes you extraordinary. Keep looking for the place where your mind belongs. Chapter 3: The Outsider Finds His Way. Albert did not give up. He spent a year at a smaller school in the Swiss town of Aarau, where the teaching style was different. Teachers encouraged students to think, to experiment, to ask questions. For the first time in his life, Albert felt at home in a classroom. He applied to the Zurich Polytechnic again. This time, he passed. But even at the Polytechnic, Albert was not a model student. He skipped lectures he found boring. He read books that were not on the syllabus. He spent hours in the laboratory doing his own experiments instead of the assigned ones. His professors noticed, and they were not impressed. One professor, Heinrich Weber, told Einstein, "You are a clever boy, but you have a great fault. You do not let anyone teach you anything." When Albert graduated in 1900, he expected to get a job as a university assistant or a teacher. He applied to every university he could find. Every single one rejected him. His professors refused to write him recommendation letters. He had burned too many bridges. For 2 years, Albert Einstein, the man who would one day reshape physics, could not find a job. The lesson: sometimes the people who are supposed to guide you will fail to see your potential. That is their limitation, not yours. Keep moving forward. Chapter 4: The Patent Clerk Who Changed Physics. In 1902, a friend helped Albert get a job as a clerk at the Swiss Patent Office in Bern. His job was to review patent applications, other people's inventions. It was boring, repetitive work. It had nothing to do with physics. But Albert finished his daily work quickly, and in the quiet hours, he thought. He pulled out sheets of paper and scribbled equations. He imagined impossible things. What would happen if you chased a beam of light and caught up to it? What if time was not the same for everyone? What if energy and mass were the same thing? In 1905, while still working at the patent office, Albert published 4 scientific papers, not ordinary papers, 4 papers that shattered the foundations of physics. One introduced the special theory of relativity. One explained that light behaves as both a wave and a particle. One provided proof that atoms actually exist, and one contained the most famous equation in history: E equals mc squared. He was 26 years old. He was a patent clerk. He had no laboratory. He had no research team. He had no university position, and he had just changed the course of human knowledge forever. The world calls 1905 Albert Einstein's miracle year, but it was not a miracle. It was the result of years of deep, quiet, independent thinking, done by a man the academic world had rejected. The lesson: your circumstances do not define your capability. A small desk in a quiet office can change the world if the right mind is sitting behind it. Chapter 5: Fame and the Price It Brings. The scientific world took time to catch up. At first, very few people understood Einstein's papers, but slowly the greatest physicists of the era began to realize what he had done. His ideas were revolutionary, they were correct, and they changed everything. By 1909, Einstein finally received a university position. By 1914, he was invited to Berlin to lead a research institute. He was becoming the most famous scientist alive. But fame brought suffering. His marriage to his first wife, Mileva, fell apart. The pressure of his work, his constant traveling, and his obsession with physics left little room for family life. Mileva was herself a brilliant physicist, but she lived in Albert's shadow. They divorced in 1919. That same year, a solar eclipse confirmed Einstein's general theory of relativity, his prediction that gravity bends light. Newspapers around the world printed the story. Overnight, Albert Einstein became the most famous person on the planet, not just a scientist, a global celebrity. But Einstein was uncomfortable with fame. He did not care about money or luxury. He wore the same old leather jacket. He rarely combed his hair. He just wanted to think. The lesson: success does not always look like you expect, and it does not always feel the way you imagine. Stay connected to the work that matters to you, not the attention it brings. Chapter 6: Running from Darkness. In the 1930s, the world grew dangerous. Adolf Hitler and the Nazi Party rose to power in Germany. They hated Jewish people, and Albert Einstein was Jewish. The Nazis burned Einstein's books. They put a bounty on his head. A German magazine published his photograph with the words, "Not yet hanged." In 1933, Einstein left Germany forever. He moved to the United States and accepted a position at the Institute for Advanced Study in Princeton, New Jersey. He never returned to Germany. Einstein was safe, but millions of others were not. The Holocaust killed 6 million Jewish people across Europe. Einstein lost friends, colleagues, and family members. He carried this pain for the rest of his life. He also carried a different burden. In 1939, he signed a letter to President Roosevelt warning that Germany might be building an atomic bomb. This letter helped start the Manhattan Project, the American program that built the first nuclear weapons. When the bombs were dropped on Hiroshima and Nagasaki in 1945, Einstein was devastated. He had not built the bomb, he had not worked on the project, but he felt responsible. He spent his remaining years speaking out for peace. He said, "I do not know with what weapons World War III will be fought, but World War IV will be fought with sticks and stones." The lesson? Intelligence without conscience is dangerous. True greatness is not just about what you can do, it is about what you choose to do with it. Chapter 7: The Mind That Never Stopped. Einstein moved to Princeton and lived a simple life. He walked to work every day, he wore the same clothes, he played his violin, he sailed his small boat on the lake, he thought about the universe. He spent the last 30 years of his life trying to find a unified theory, a single equation that could explain all the forces of nature. He never found it. Many physicists said he was wasting his time. They said the problem was unsolvable. But Einstein did not care. He believed the question was worth asking, even if the answer was not yet within reach. He once said, "I have no special talents. I am only passionately curious." He became an American citizen in 1940. He used his fame to speak about civil rights, peace, and education. He supported the NAACP. He spoke against racism in America, at a time when very few famous white people did. Albert Einstein died on April 18, 1955, at the age of 76. On his desk, there were papers with equations he had been working on that very morning. He was still thinking. He was still asking questions, right until the very end. The lesson? Curiosity is not a phase, it is a way of life. The greatest minds are not the ones with all the answers. They are the ones who never stop asking questions. Chapter 8: Why This Story Matters to You. So why does this story matter to you? Because right now, someone is telling you that you are too slow, too quiet, too different. Someone is looking at you and seeing nothing special. Maybe you did not do well in school. Maybe you failed an important exam. Maybe the people who were supposed to believe in you, your teachers, your family, your employers, looked at you and said, "You will never amount to anything." Let me ask you something. Have you ever stayed quiet, not because you had nothing to say, but because you were thinking so deeply that the words had not arrived yet? Have you ever felt like the world was moving too fast and you needed more time to understand, not less? Einstein's teachers called him slow. He was called lazy. He was told he would never amount to anything. He failed his exams. He was rejected by universities. He could not get a job. And he became the most important scientist in the history of the modern world. He did not succeed because he was the fastest thinker in the room. He succeeded because he was the deepest. He looked at the same universe everyone else saw and asked questions nobody else was brave enough to ask. So what can you do right now? First, stop judging yourself by other people's timelines. You do not have to be successful at 25. You do not have to have all the answers right now. Einstein published his greatest work while working a job that had nothing to do with physics. Your breakthrough can come from anywhere. Second, protect your curiosity. The world will try to make you stop asking questions. Teachers, bosses, systems, they want you to follow the rules and stay quiet. Do not let them kill the thing that makes you extraordinary. Third, trust the process even when nobody else does. Einstein spent years thinking about light while everyone else ignored him. He was right and they were wrong. If you believe in something deeply, keep going. The world will catch up. What is the question you cannot stop thinking about? What is the idea that keeps you up? Do not ignore it. That is your compass. Follow it. Chapter 9. The Universe Inside You. Albert Einstein was called slow. He was called lazy. He was told he would never amount to anything. He failed his exams. He was rejected by universities. He could not get a job. And he became the most important scientist in the history of the modern world. He did not succeed because he was the fastest thinker in the room. He succeeded because he was the deepest. He looked at the same universe everyone else saw and asked questions nobody else was brave enough to ask. You do not need to be the loudest. You do not need to be the quickest. You do not need everyone to believe in you. You just need to keep thinking, keep asking, and keep going, especially when the world tells you to stop. There's a universe inside your mind, ideas that only you can see, questions that only you can ask. Do not let anyone convince you that those ideas don't matter. They matter. You matter. Your story is not over. The best chapters have not been written yet. I will see you in the next video.